So, our fourth topic and my personal favorite for this episode is Walt's Mock Draft 2.0. So, Walt, gonna go with the same order we had as last time. We're not doing any trades, not doing anything funky like that. So, it's just gonna be the order that they came out in. Um, if you have the list in front of you of what you said last week for your 1.0, feel free to say who you chose then. I also have it up in front of me if you need me to, but wanted to give you the floor to start it off with the Islanders at number one. Who do you think they are taking?
So I guess just to switch it up from the first week, I'm gonna go a little bit more chaotic, but still a realistic scenario this week. But Islanders at one, that's still Schaefer for me. I still think he's the best player in this draft class, and I still think the Islanders need everything. So I still have Schaefer at one. And think about it now, I probably should have made a graphic for this, but we'll just we'll just rip it off 1 through 10.
We'll be fine. I mean, we're gonna make a clip out of this, so hopefully people are enjoying the mock draft that Walt has come up with. I understand this is the 2.0 and the 1.0 draft is not online, but you're just gonna have to forgive us for that. So, number two, San Jose. Who do you have them taking?
San Jose at two, I still think Michael Misa. I still think he's number two in this draft class, and I still think he just makes so much sense for them, and, having him and Celebrini, thinking about how we did player comparisons last week, Celebrini is probably someone that's pretty similar to Misa, so if you could have not 1 but 2 of those guys, that'd be awesome, so I still might agree going Misa at 2.
All right. And we have the same as the last one. So we are patiently waiting for the chaos that Walt is going to throw our way. Hopefully it starts now with number three, Chicago.
3 at Chicago, I I just don't think they even know what they wanna do with this pick at this point, so I had them going, Caleb Desnoyers for
Okay.
mock draft 2.0. I think he's someone that no, it's just hard to pinpoint, like, which teams are these guys because you see comments from, like, NHL scouts and stuff, so, like, which teams are the guys that are hyping up Frondell, which teams are the guys that are hyping up Desnoyers. So, yeah, I had them going t 3, Caleb Desnoyers, a name that I know I'm butchering, but I'll butcher every French word because I'm horrible at pronouncing French words.
It's just a little bit of me rubbing off onto you.
Yeah.
Classic can't pronounce last names over here. You had Anton Frondel at number three last time to Chicago. So there's our first change. Let's move on to number four with Utah.
Utah, I think with this pick, I think they're going Anton Frondell here. I think he falls to them at 4, and I think there's definitely teams that are picking in that top 5 that think Anton Frondell is like an Anze Kopitar or Alexander Barkov light, so I think just the fact that he's a center is really appealing, and I know their center depth at the NHL level is alright right now, but they could definitely use some more pieces there, so I've got them going with the center and Frondell.
All right. And you had Brady Martin on your last mock draft. So there's another change with number four, Utah. Number five, Nashville. You had Caleb Denoy. Gonna trust that you are saying his last name right. I can finally blame Walt if I'm wrong on something there. So Nashville, number five, you had Caleb Denoy, but who do you have this week?
I have them this is my first off the board pick, and I don't know if Nashville will be the team to do it, but I do think some team will do it before the Sabres, and I have them taking Roger McQueen at number 5. He's someone who has obviously been dealing with injuries, but I think there's teams that still really believe in his ceiling. So I have him going number 5 to, Nashville.
All right. And Philly. Last week you had Philly taking Porter Martone. Who do you have this week?
So for Philadelphia at pick number 6, I have them taking Brady Martin. I think he's someone who will go pretty high, but I think there's a few teams above him that just have a name above Brady Martin on their list, so he falls to the Flyers at 6, and he's just such a Flyers hockey player that, it's almost destiny that, Brady Martin's picked by the Flyers, so he's my pick at number 6.
There's number 6 for Philly. Number 7, Boston. You had James Higgins on the last mock draft. Who do you have this week?
Number 7 for Boston, there's someone that needs absolutely everything at this point. Sure, they still have Pasternak, but I think a rebuild's inevitable at this point, so, I'll still go Higgins for them. I think if he's there at 7, I think just his ceiling's way too high for Boston to pass on, and they just need high-end talent in their system, so I'm going Higgins to, 7 at Boston.
All right, moving quickly on to number 8, Seattle. You had Radim Murtka last week. Who do you have this week?
This week, I part of me wants to choose a different defenseman for them here, so just for the sake of the mock draft, I'll spice things up a bit.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go Jackson Smith for them with this pick, defenseman out of Tri-City. I think he just has such an interesting profile. He's, a great skater. I think teams will think he's moldable, maybe closer to his NHL potential than a guy like Radim Murka is, and maybe a little bit of a higher ceiling as well. So I got them going Jackson Smith with the 8th overall pick.
All right, and the moment of truth. Number 9, Buffalo. Had
So
Jake O'Brien taken last week. What about this week?
9 with the Sabres, and this will be something during our draft night stream that I'll be keeping a close eye on is Higgins and Martone. I think both of them could fall, and Porter Martone falls right in the Sabres' laps right here at number 9. I think way too many people are looking way too deeply into his game and kind of tearing it apart, and I think that will lead him to fall. Maybe not to the Sabres at 9, but I do think it's a possibility. Corey Proman had him going at 9 at his mock draft, and I have him going number 9 to the Sabres in my mock draft 2.0. And I think the Sabres get someone who's not really a Kachuk clone, but he's a bigger body. And I think he does have the potential to play more of a power forward type game down the line. It'll be something he has to develop, but he certainly has the tools to do it. And even if he doesn't, he's an incredibly smart hockey player and puts up a lot of points as well.
All right, and let's round out the top 10 with number 10, Anaheim. Roger McQueen is who you had last week. Who do you have this week?
So 10 at Anaheim, I have them going with Jake O'Brien. I think he's someone who NHL teams really like, and I do think he's someone who will go in the top 10. It's just he's a big forward. He's young. He can play center. He put up a great amount of points last year. So I think he just has such an appealing package, and he has, a long runway to turn into a top 6 center in the NHL as well. So I have Anaheim going with him to round out the top 10.
So there is Walt's mock draft 2.0. Tune in next week for his 3.0 and also next week for the live stream during the NHL draft. We'll see how well Walt did. Anything else about your mock draft that you wanted to mention? Maybe one other player that you could possibly sneak into the top 10 that you wanted to throw out there before we move on?
Uh, I'd say I think the guys that I do think can slide in there, I think Roger McQueen's someone that a lot of people may not be mocking in their top 10, top 8, but I think he's someone who can go well before the Sabres pick, like rightfully or wrongfully so. So I'd say he's going to be my guy to keep an eye on for going, higher than expected.
All right. That sounds good. We'll keep an eye out for next week's episode with Mock Draft 3.0, and I'm looking forward to it.